See this vent has some nubs. I think they all do, because they're supposed to be put on that cheap foil ducting. But to get it on here, you can't just push it in. So unfortunately, I think you got to go through these grooves, and I have to screw it in basically like threads. And that seems to work, but the problem is as soon as you crush it down with this hose clamp, it's hard to get off again. And to get that other one off, the temporary one, I actually had to cut through and sacrifice a couple inches, but I made this an extra foot and a half long, so it should be fine to stretch it. But just for future reference, if you want to get it off again, you might have to cut it. So now I'm just going to screw it in, and these screws are a little bit big, so they might want to walk that flange forward as I'm screwing up. See? Too big of a hole. That just brings it back again. And you really have to get a good feel by hand with the hand screwdriver, because this stuff is paper thin. See what happens. There. I wanted to show you this too for the next steps. I did find a low profile dryer vent duct. This seems to be working. You know, you just kind of put it in there, way down, and hose clamp it in. So in order to make room and make room for that fitting there that I got, the dryer fitting, the elbow, I'm gonna have to cut some of this out on the side. And in order to do that, to gain access to cut in there, I'm gonna have to remove this piece of trim. And I've done 3 out of the 4 screws. I've saved you that agony to see. I've got the last one going here, almost out. And now I have access, so I can cut this little notch out to make room for the master bedroom vent. So right there, I'm going to cut that out. All right, so the first step is I'm going to trim back this flooring. So the blade. More vertical. I have to cut a little bit more when I trim back the wood here. I mean, maybe back to here or something. Just for now. So next step is I bought this Porter cable, like adjustable sawzall, this arm feature that can fold up and down, and it looks like this might be a perfect application for it. And this thing also twists this way, so you can turn it at any angle. Slight modification to the plan. I'm going to put this camera down in there. You can see there's a frame right there. And we obviously don't want to cut into that frame because there's a flange on the top of that frame. So I'm just going to very carefully cut up into that flange but not through it. So also got a towel here, because the last thing you want inside the heating elements are wood chips and sawdust. I measured what I think is the maximum width before I hit that frame cross member. So we can give it a shot. This should be hopefully easy to cut through, because it's just like balsa wood on both sides with foam in the middle. So we'll see. I mean, that's like crazy easy. I got another thought. This stuff is so thin, maybe I can just cut through it with a blade. So I'm gonna try that, at least the top, and kind of work my way through. It's kind of almost halfway through, going through the first cut, so stuck to the foam. There, that's pretty easy. Let's cut through that. Let's see. There, okay. I think the last little bit's more suited to this Multimax, so I'm going to try that. Not too shabby. We are back underneath, and we're going to do the master bedroom vent now, the duct. So we're going to do the same thing we did on the other side with the bathroom duct. Pull it through and put in the new one. The 3-inch extended, sneak it in between the end of the frame rail on the outside and this tank. So you can see that it fits, but it's still a little bit snug. And I don't know what's going to happen when I get to this next tank. And it better be long enough because it's got to go through both tanks. So I ran the 3-inch down all the way, and it's just short by about, I don't know, a foot. So I just, you know, cut a little section of 4-inch and ran the increaser a little bit early and then taped it in. So I taped the reducer increaser to the 4-inch first because it was tougher, there's less clearance, and then I'm going to save the 3-inch for the second connection. But over here I noticed that the cool thing is that this connection here to the actual duct, the floor duct, rotates. So what I can do is just put the tape, rotate it, put another piece, rotate it, and so forth. And then when I get to the 3-inch here, obviously can't rotate it anymore, but I think I should be able to sneak it up in there because it's 1 inch less, so I have more clearance to do it. I'm going to finish this up with a sheet metal screw, so in case the tape fails, it'll still stay on. Okay, one more thing, as I'm rotating this, what I'm doing is, this is very thin aluminum obviously, so I'm deforming it down, so it's making it flush to this fitting here that I'm rotating on the duct. So as I apply the tape, I'm kind of just deforming it down so it tightens it up. And also more purchase for the tape adhesive to stick to. So I'll just do this one last piece. Okay, so just pinch it down. It also rotates, just wanted to show you that. So that'll be handy. So you can see I got the reducer hooked up in there. Tape all the way around on both sides. So I was looking around when I ran this 3-inch just now to the master bedroom. I saw this huge hole, and this goes up to the shower, I believe. Another way in for the mice. So I'm gonna seal this up. I'm also gonna cut a little hole in it and maybe make a little vent just in case there's a shower leak. I don't want it building up in there and me not knowing. So if it leaks through there, then it'll leak down in here and start dripping, so I'll be able to see it. So you can see I used a leather punch, 1/2 inch right here. Cut a hole in the piece of tape, and then also another hole in a little patch here. And then I also cut out my little vent just in case the shower starts to leak. I want to know. So I just peeled this back. And I'm going to hopefully line them up because get one shot at this here. Right there. And that should now be sealed from mice well enough. And then you can see the vent right there, sandwiched in. The plan is to test out my theory that if I use that underbelly tape with a couple screws on either side, that it'll hold. Because usually what happens is it gets hot and it peels up over time, just slowly, and then it peels off. But if we can keep it in shear instead of in peel, I think it'll hold up really well with those screws. So first step is to clean it with some alcohol all the way up and down. So that might take a little bit. Okay, so you can see I cut this 4-inch underbelly tape. I'm using my fingernails to get every little tiny bit really adhered, and that's after cleaning with alcohol. I also cut these at 45-degree angles so it has no peel points. Just bringing it all the way to the end. And there might be a wrinkle here at the end, we'll see. But I cut it right around there. Okay, and my 45s. Just extra safety, who knows? Maybe it will make a difference. To prevent all wrinkles. And then again, every tiny little bit needs to be adhered. I just reread how to use that tape, and it says that the adhesive is heat activated. So they showed someone using a heat gun. So I got a heat gun here and turn it on at a 6. I have it on 2, so it doesn't need to be that hot. They said don't overheat it. So all I'm gonna do is just kind of wave it around, warm it up, and then it's not hot. It's not too hot for me to touch it, so I just kind of like work it around. Okay, so I got it all taped up, secured, and here's the thought. So I got these number 14 truss head screws, very, very wide head. So hopefully they'll be beefy enough not to pull out, and the head will be big enough not to pull in. What I'm going to do is put it maybe 1 or 2 here, because when you're going down the road, you don't want this to start peeling because of the wind. And all this should be fine. And then at the end, you don't want this to peel up because it's basically like a big flap. So you put 1 here and 1 here on the corners, and that should be all you need, hopefully. Now I'll keep inspecting these throughout the year and see what happens to them. But for now, we'll start there. Just make sure this is drilled just through. Let's see. Probably hand tighten them too. Earlier I found a leak right in this area in this tank, so I'm not sure what's going on because it's not leaking now. Maybe it only leaks when it's full or when I drain, but I just want to know if there's a leak. So I'm going to put another screen in the middle of this right here, right about there. So small leaks maybe I won't know about, but big leaks that go all the way up to here, or that start from over there where I drain, I'll know about, so it'll leak through. Yes, there's a hole in the underbelly, but it's screened and nothing's getting in there. It's just a small hole. So I think it's worth it to know if there's a leak. I'll use my leather punch again. This Eternabond tape. Put a little hole there. And then what I'll do, I'll try to make use of this in another way. What I figured I'd do is it's a 3/8 size which fits into my drill chuck. And I'm going to try and see if I can use it as a blade right here. See if I can go through there. This may not work, we'll see. Oh, that seemed to work. Just melted right through. So you got a nice hole there. So you can see, got this attached on one side. So let's do my best to line it up in the middle. Right about there. And it's protected, and gravity's on your side, so it's always kind of falling into where it's being adhered to, so it shouldn't move. Yes, might be a little bit potential for during a rainstorm getting some water in there, but I really don't think too much will come in. And then you can see nothing's going in there. But if I see drips coming out, I know there's a leak that I took off, and I found 1 more mouse nest, so I'm glad I did it. Other than that, not too bad. I just took the bubble wrap off. But I figured while I was here, I would show you a rare sight. That's what maybe the tip tube, and that's what drives the slide in and out. It's not the rack and pinion, which is what you see here. It's actual tube that has the drive motor connected. So this is the inside view, and you can see what I did. I just temporarily put a little piece of flex tape, flex seal, whatever you want to call it. Yes, I understand that mice might be able to chew through it, but it's not going to be easy because that stuff is like gum. So I'm going to just take it off and show you what it looks like. That huge hole right there. I'm just going to plug it up. And the seal that comes in there, that butts up against the outside of the frame, it doesn't go all the way through, so this should be fine to put on the inside. I'm going to put another one on the outside. I think it's just going to squish it a little bit, but it won't be too bad. Alright, I also just want to show you down there is all the little scraps that I picked up from the latest mouse nest. And what those scraps are, I don't know if you can see it, but it's that spray foam. So they just eat that spray foam and pick it off like popcorn. So here's a view with the slide open. And I don't know if you can see, but now the bar is tipped down, so there's a big gap there. And anything I did to line it up while it was closed is now negated when it's open, so I guess I'll try again on the outside. So got the top part of this already stuck on, and I'm just going to peel off the rest of it and try to maneuver it into place. Strip on there, and hopefully what'll happen is when this bar tips up, it'll just stretch that. What I thought I'd do to prevent the adhesive from sticking to this bar is just spray it with some Molly dry lube, which is what I did all the way around here in the gears and rack and pinion. Neutralize the adhesive on both sides. It's a long range spray. All right, go ahead. Cool. So you can see after one cycle, you can see it kind of like sealed up and pinched it, but it's still kind of intact. So I'm happy with that. We'll keep checking it. I also found the reason, remember I said before there was a little square that was cut right here, but for no reason except there's 4 bolts there with a little square of underbelly material, and I think that was just to mark the spot where this slide motor was in case I need to open it up and service that. Back up top side, I've got all 4 of the major vents run, and it looks like these nifty dryer elbow vents work. Looks like they're gonna fit. Just gonna test fit it, make sure you have enough room laterally, and it looks like there is. And just slip right on. I'm gonna put that hose clamp on and then tape it to the duct like I did there. The only issue, small issue, is what I call the belly of it right there is hitting right there, so I might have to carve out a little semicircle. Try to film this. I'm halfway done, but I'm just using this Multimax Dremel again to notch through. So let's move this back and see if it fits. Okay, so you can see I notched it out there. So I'll just put it in here and check. And it looks like it's kind of touching, but you know, it's still engaged up here. I've got all 3 of the dryer elbows put in with I even bought some, probably a 3 or 4 foot length of 2-inch, so we could have the underbelly heater still there. This is a 4-season trailer, so apparently that means that the underbelly is heated so it doesn't freeze the tanks. This was completely open on the bottom, so mice could just go right up into it, and that's one more way they could get into the heater. So what I did, I just put a vent, I glued it on there with industrial strength shoe goo. It's the only way that it would fit because it's kind of the wrong size, but it's really secure. There's no way, it's stamped metal, so no way they're getting through that. So I'll just put that down in there and secure that with a hose clamp, and I think we should be ready to test it. Everything's connected, so now it's time to test. We'll see how it goes here. Turn on the heat. And I hear a fan. Go out here. Oh, I feel warm air. It's lit. Hot air is coming through the vent. This vent a lot stronger. Okay, we got some flow. Yep, all vents are flowing, and they're all warm. Here it is. Laugh if you want. I was wondering how to seal up all that big hole in between each of those hoses. And, you know, I thought about doing a piece of balsa wood, cutting it to shape, but that would have taken a long time to cut and fit everything, and then I would have had to secure it anyway somehow. And then you saw what the mice did to that foam spray, and, you know, they just chewed it up. So I also didn't want to have the foam just dripping down into the underbelly and not filling in the gap. And then if I ever wanted to get at this again, you know, I'm going to have to cut through the foam, and it's a huge mess. So just figured I'd use some tape. I had a lot of leftover, and it wasn't that bad. So there it is. One thing that's happening here is there's less clearance now to screw these towed in drywall screws. So I'm going to have to improvise here. Oh, there, I got it. Got it a little bit. It's just catching and slipping, but it is going in. Okay, it's almost all the way in. That's pretty secure. That's the last step, is getting this panel in. Just the vent. I just gotta make it flush. You get the idea. All right, so that's it. Heater part's done. Now, just got to take care of this radio. Got to shorten the radio, so I got to replace it. That's next.